Hello Internet, my name is Sean O'Cairns and for the very first time I get to say welcome back to my channel. Straight off the bat, I just want to say there was such a lovely amount of support and enthusiasm around the first video, which is sick. Really lovely comments, so many really sweet messages, new subscribers, and yeah, it really filled me with hope that this is something that people enjoy, that there's still a space on the internet for videos like these and people like me. So if you're coming here having watched the first video, thank you so much for coming back. If you're brand new here and you're wondering who's this dude, welcome. My name is Sean O'Cairns, I'm from Ireland, I'm 29, I'm an actor, I live in London, and I'm figuring out the YouTube thing. And I figured, you know, there are people who have seen me in TV shows and whatever, and who know me already. There are definitely, probably a lot more people out there who don't know me. And I figured before I start experimenting more with what the channel can be, with gaming and, you know, whatever else, God knows, I thought a Q&A would be cool, just to, I guess, share who I am with you. So I put a Q&A thing out on my Instagram, link is in the bio, or maybe somewhere. I'm still learning how to edit. Editing is hard. And a bunch of people asked me some really cool questions. I thought that rounds out who I am quite well, so I'm going to answer them here today. And if there are any other questions that you wanted to ask, maybe you thought of something, maybe you forgot to ask it over there, just drop it in the comments and it will be answered. Yeah, cool. Let's do it. Yeah. There's a lot of Fami in Paris questions. I don't really have an order for these. I'm just going to be bouncing between lots of different questions. Sorry. I'm going to keep people's names out of this as well if they didn't ask if I could put their name in it, and I don't want to assume, so. Alright, question 1. What would you say to someone who wants to become an artist? I would say do everything that you do with your entire heart, your entire soul. Believe in what you do. Believe in your skill. Use every emotion that you need to use to create what you want to create. Be sure that you have the thick skin necessary to survive in this very difficult world as an artist, and most importantly, what everyone else thinks. What career would you have if you weren't an actor? For years, I wanted to work in games. I wanted to be a video game designer. Video games have always been a massive part of my life. I was a very anxious, very lonely child. I was bullied very badly in school. And one of the things that really got me through those tough days in school, and I guess not having many people I could depend on outside of my immediate family, I always leaned on games, and I loved escaping to these amazing worlds and being able to feel like I was doing something amazing. And I wanted to help create games that made people feel that same way. I do absolutely suck at maths and like drawing, like design, and very quickly realized that I wouldn't be good at designing games. But then I found acting and found out that I was decent at that, and I went into that with the same mindset, I guess, of wanting to create things and art that made people feel safe and inspired, happy, make them laugh, and just help take them away from reality a little bit. So I think video game designer was the big one. There are a lot of Fami in Paris questions, so I'm going to hit those now. If you're new here, Fami in Paris was a TV series that I was in that went on for 3 seasons. It was done by Hulu and Disney, and I played Frank, the villain, the time collector. Now you know. How was it for you when you played in the series Fami in Paris? It was a dream. It was a dream. It was an absolute dream. It was my first big job. It's what enabled me to be an actor as my full-time career. I was able to leave university, and it set me up so that I'm still working to this day. So it changed my life. It was so fun. Everyone was amazing to work with. Got to live in Paris, got to live in Brussels, got to meet so many amazing friends, got to tell a really cool, magical story. And I know how much the show means to so many people around the world. So to have been a part of that is an honor that I hold to this day. And I miss it. It was a fun show. What scene was the hardest from Fami in Paris? There were a couple of difficult scenes we had to do. You know, as a primarily teenage show, we didn't delve too deep into any kind of topics or emotions, but there were still some tough scenes. I'd say the hardest one for me was, I think it's like the first or second episode of season 3, where Hannah, who plays Thea, tells me that she's going on tour as an étoile and that I couldn't go with her, and we had to break up. And it was a very sad scene anyway, but Hannah wasn't going to be coming back to season 3 of the show. And that sucked because she loved the show. I loved having her on the show. And not working together anymore really, really sucked. Yeah, so I think we were just going to really miss working together, and we were there with Jill, who was our beautiful, beautiful writer and beautiful friend, and it was just a lovely day in the park, and it was very intimate, and it was very lovely, and it was just really, really, really sad. And it was hard to get through, and the tears you see in that scene are very real. So that was a tough day. If you could, would you come back as Frank for Find Me in Paris? Hell yeah. Next question. Yo, if anyone from Monsters watching, hit me up. Favorite memory from Love Lane United or Find Me in Paris? Oh, that's tough. I'll try and pick one of many from each. Actually, it's a toss-up from Love Lane. So Love Lane United, beautiful Irish independent film that I was in. This is the jersey from it right here. You know, it was made on a shoestring budget, and making a film at the best of times is hard, and when you make it on not much money, it can be difficult, but we just made it so fun, and we had an amazing crew and an amazing cast. And I remember one day we were filming on Mount Street, walking down the street with Laura, and you know, we had this skeleton crew trying to do a tracking shot down the street. And I think one of the guys, I think our DOP was literally in a wagon, and they were just dragging him, and he was like, it was wild, and it was lashing rain, and, you know, spirits could have been really low, and it could have just been like, oh my god, like, this is impossible, you know, how are we going to do this, the shot's going to be... Everyone was laughing, and it was just so fun, and it was just the joy of making films, and the love for the people around you that got us through it, and that was great. Having that on a set is really special. The other one is, there's a beautiful scene that we have, me and Gordon, who plays Benny, toward the end of the film, down in a little river, not far from Mount Street, where we have this beautiful kind of one-on-one chat, and scenes like that, just those beautifully intimate, platonic scenes about the real stuff are, you know, they're one of the reasons I became an actor. I love honesty in film, and getting to that with him was really, really special. And again, skeleton crew, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and we just had such a laugh. I can't really put it into words because you kind of had to be there, but I hold that very, very, very closely. Find Me in Paris, that's a different beast, trying to pick a favourite memory from that. It's so hard to choose. I mean, getting to work in the Opera Garnier, dream. Getting to have scenes on the roof of the Garnier, dream. Getting to have scenes on the same stairs where Fred Astaire and Audrey Hepburn shot, dream. Getting to have my dad play my dad in the show and have my mum and my brother be extras in that scene, dream. Getting to work with the beautiful Jill Gerling, dream. I can't even begin to try and nail down specific memories, but 3 years were so special. Next question. I have two from the same beautiful, beautiful friend that I have. I'm not going to name, I'm going to respect his privacy, but these are great. Do you think you've pooped in more than 500 unique toilets? I don't know, but I love trying to figure out if I have. I'm 29, so like, you know, I've been around. I doubt it. And the second question, I love this. Second question, same person. Do you think there are more doors than wheels in the world? I love what this is making my brain do. You know, well, you know, we got wheels on cars, on chairs, skateboards, scooters, bikes, motorbikes, planes, but every building has a door. I'm sure there's an answer. I'm sure I can just like Google this. I want to figure out. I'm gonna say there are more doors than wheels. I'm not gonna look at it while I'm recording this. I'm just gonna send the answer. Hope for the best. Watch me be wrong instantly. What is something we would be surprised to know about you? I'll be very candid with this one, because I feel like, you know, in a weird way, we hold actors and people who live quite publicly on this weird kind of pedestal that they live like different lives. Some do, I guess. I definitely don't. Something that I'm very open with with the people in my life, but probably not on the internet. I can suffer hugely from very debilitating anxiety and bouts of depression, and you know, it can strike them. It's been a theme for a long portion of my life, and being a performer, it can be great to get to exercise and workshop those feelings and have that be an outlet, but it can also be equally as terrifying to present those as well. You know, even toward the end of last year, living in London, I just got completely overwhelmed out of nowhere. I started suffering from genuine agoraphobia. I didn't want to leave the house. The idea of being away from my comfort zone and my like reset spot genuinely made me sick to my stomach. Like I would have panic attacks. I couldn't get the tube. I didn't like getting buses. I didn't want to be confined. I still don't like getting the tube ever since that whole kind of episode. You know, it's a very real thing. It can happen to anybody, and it's not something that anyone should be embarrassed about. You know, we all have brains, we all have feelings, we all have hearts, we all have souls. So yeah, I don't know if that qualifies as something you might not know about me or have known about me, but I said in the first video that I want there to be transparency and honesty. So there you go. You're stuck in a movie universe. What film are you hoping it is? Star Wars. Yeah. What type of music do you listen to? So, I have got a very broad taste in music. I listen to... It really depends on my mood. Like, my shuffle is wild. Like, you could go from metal to indie to hip-hop to opera to classical to trance to, you know, hardcore. Like, it all depends on my mood. All depends on what kind of brain itch I'm trying to scratch. If you asked any of my friends, however, who have, especially the ones who have known me for a long time, they would tell you that I am a dirty little pop punk kid, and they're absolutely right. You know, there's the whole meme of like, you know, you put on Green Day or Neck Deep or WSTR or Some or whatever, and the whole thing is, oh, I listened to these when I was in high school. And I'm like, same, but I still am. I don't know. I just love it. It's just, long live the scene, honestly. Long live the scene. Yeah, I think pop punk is definitely my go-to. Pop punk's my favorite genre. I hold it very near and dear. Always have, always will. Metal, another big one. You know, I was brought up on rock and roll. I remember being like 6 years old and being shown AC/DC live at Donington at Monsters of Rock in 1991. And it changed my life. But yeah, I've always been definitely that way inclined. But then also, you know, like if I'm working, if I'm writing, if I'm out walking, you know, like kind of synthwave, psytrance, like especially Deadmau5, just like those really lovely melodic beats. Like not exactly by Deadmau5. I remember the Veld, those old tunes. Yeah, they scratch a very particular itch. But then also, you know, I came up doing musical theater. That's where I got my start in the whole acting world. So, you know, musical theater, Broadway, West End, classical, even opera, love it. You can basically throw anything at me that isn't like radio pop, I guess, and I'm probably gonna like it. Look, like I said, there are so many questions here that are so lovely, and I wish I could answer them all. If you asked any here and I didn't get to them, drop them in the comments, I'll answer them there. And if there are any questions that you thought of while watching this, drop them there too. But I think this is a good one to end it on. How have you learned to control your feelings and have everything be so natural? In a word, perseverance. I don't want to answer this question like I'm some kind of person who has it all figured out, because let me tell you, that could not be further from the truth. I really don't. No one does, man. That's an illusion. If anyone even tries to go on like they know what they're doing, or that's some bullshit right there. I don't. This isn't any kind of a sob story. I have a lot of experience with turbulent times, loneliness, false hope, I guess, dealing with and learning about my own mental health. They're all battles and trials and lessons that we have to go through in life to end up becoming the best person that we can. And it's really important that you go through them, because how lucky are we to be alive and to be getting to learn these lessons? When you're going through them, they can destroy you. This goes without saying. Like, these we as humans innately are to go through the trials and tribulations that make us question why we're here and what makes us us. I can think of 1,000 times when I was at my worst and thought things like, why me? This isn't fair. I got so close. Am I not good enough? All these, you know, really nasty things that our brains trick us into thinking. When you get out the far side of that and you can look back and you can see and feel the growth of yourself as a person for what you went through and persevering through that, sometimes it can be something huge, like, I don't know, getting fired or getting close to a really big job, or, you know, a loved one passing away, or going through a breakup, or getting really badly injured, or getting sick, or whatever it is. And when you get through that, I don't want to lean into any kind of cliche, but it is a miracle in and of itself. These huge things can debilitate us. Getting through these big things in our life to have then this big win, but then also small wins. You know, you went to the shop and did your groceries, you put on a load of laundry, you went out for a walk, you met a friend for a coffee when you were feeling absolutely in the pits. You got through that. That's a big thing. That is never to be diminished. So how do I control my feelings and make things feel natural? It's time, it's experience, it's knowing your self-worth, it's emotional growth, it's the warrior's journey. It's going through the tough times to really be able to appreciate the good. It's about loving yourself enough. Again, not to fall into cliche, but it's about being able to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, give yourself a hug, and keep moving forward, especially when life gives you a kick up the arse. I think that's a good place to leave it for now. To everyone who asked questions over on Instagram, again, thank you so much. You made my job really easy. I wish you could see the list of questions I had here. It's wild. So thank you very much. And thank you very much for watching the video. If you didn't ask any questions and you just came to enjoy the video, thank you so much for being here as well. I really appreciate it. This was really fun. I was nervous about this, I'm not going to lie, because I didn't know originally what questions I was going to get, and then I didn't know how to answer them. But this was fun. It was definitely a very important thing for me with starting this whole venture that, you know, I said it in the first video, I want honesty, I want transparency, I want conversation. I said I want to create a cozy corner on the internet where people feel safe to talk and bring back that you know, that two-way street mentality. So yeah, this was really fun. I hope, you know, if you were interested, you got to know a little bit about me. I'm an open book. My comments are always open. The Discord is always open. Come say hi. Judgment free, as always. The world's hard enough. Life is hard enough. Just enjoy yourself here, I guess. Right. I'm yapping. Shut up, Sean! Links to all the bits and pieces, Instagram, Discord, Twitch, all that kind of stuff in the description below. Maybe floating here. Again, still learning how to edit. It's hard. Shout out video editors. But yeah, that's all from me. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you guys in the next one. And until then, peace and love.